Welcome back to Why Is That Dad? Unpacking the science, history, and culture of everyday questions for curious adults and kids. I'm your host, Phil, and joining me today is my daughter, Annalise.
Hi.
First, I'll apologize. We're getting over a cold right now, so we have some sniffles and some coughs, but we'll continue regardless. So today's episode is called Loaded by Design, the hidden history, brutal odds, and societal costs of the American lottery. The initial question started, like a lot of things around here, with something Annalise noticed at the gas station. Annie?
There was a man at the counter with a lot of paper tickets. I presume lottery tickets. There were scratch-off tickets and number tickets, and he had a lot of them. And it looks like he turned some back in and got money for it. It got me wondering, what is the lottery? Does everyone play? I mean, he turned in paper and got paid money. I want to make money, so here we are talking about it. People play the lottery. Why is that, Dad?
Well, you have to be 18 to play, and it's more normal than most people want to admit. Something like 75 to 100 million American adults play the lottery every year. Around 70% of Americans have played at least once in their lives. So that man, not unusual at all. He was, statistically, pretty typical.
That many people play? Why is that, Dad?
That many people. And they play because you're paying for a small chance to win a lot of money. And the industry built on all of those purchases is enormous. Americans spend around $100 billion a year on lottery tickets, more than the country spends on movies, music, and sports tickets combined.
Wait, more than all the movies and all the concerts?
All of it combined. And there are roughly 216,000 licensed lottery retailers in the US, more locations than McDonald's, Starbucks, and Walmart put together.
That's like everywhere.
Yep, and that's not an accident. The easier it is to buy a ticket, the more tickets get sold. Accessibility is a core feature of the product. Now, you mentioned he was buying two different kinds, the scratch-offs and the number tickets. Those are actually pretty different products, and the difference matters more than people realize.
How are they different?
Well, scratch-offs, the instant ones, you buy it, you scratch it, you find out right then. No waiting. The result is already printed on that ticket before you ever buy it. It's predetermined. You're just revealing what's already there.
So someone already knows if it's a winner before I even scratch it?
The Lottery Commission does, yeah. They print a fixed number of winners and losers, mix them into the distribution chain, and send them out. You're not generating a random result when you scratch. You're uncovering one that already exists.
That's kind of a strange thing to think about.
It really is. Changes the feeling of it a little, doesn't it? The draw games are a little different animal. Powerball, Mega Millions, state daily winners. With those, you pick numbers or let the machine pick, and then you wait for a live drawing. The randomness actually happens at the draw. And the jackpots grow every time nobody wins, which, spoiler, is most of the time. They can reach hundreds of millions or even billions.
Billions? Like, I want to be a billionaire.
The largest Powerball jackpot ever was $2.04 billion, won in 2022. One ticket, one winner in California. The lump sum was just under $1 billion, and after federal taxes, he walked away with roughly $628 million.
Wait, before you say more, how does a $2 billion jackpot turn into $624 million?
Well, you can get a yearly sum over a long period of time, or you can opt for a lump sum and get about half.
Wouldn't you want the full $2 billion?
That's a great question that gets into mathematical optimization versus optimizing for human behavior, a subject for another episode. But yes, most people go for the lump sum.
And then the feds get their dirty hands on your hard-won money.
Not the only time the government ends up with lottery proceeds, as you'll see shortly.
Regardless, what do you even do with that much money?
We'll come back to it, but you're totally derailing the podcast.
Dad, you wrote the script.
Touche. Okay, back to the scratch-offs and draw tickets. The odds on these two products are very different, and not in the direction you'd assume.
What do you mean?
Scratch-offs actually have much better odds of winning something than draw games do. Some scratch-offs have overall odds as good as 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 for any prize. For Powerball, your odds of winning anything at all are about 1 in 25. But the trade-off is the ceiling. The biggest scratch-off prize is usually a few million at most. Powerball can be a billion. So scratch-offs give you better odds of winning smaller amounts. Draw games give you almost no odds of winning something staggering.
So which one is better to play?
Depends entirely on what you're chasing. The fantasy of $1 billion, Powerball, and you accept your odds are basically zero. A better chance at winning something, even something modest, scratch offs are friendlier statistically. Neither one is good investment. They're just selling different dreams.
Huh, I never thought of it as selling a dream.
That's exactly what it is. And the scratch off sells one particular dream very effectively. Right now. No delayed gratification. You find out immediately. You can buy tickets, scratch them off right there in the store. Or if you're really in a rush, you can skip the scratching altogether. This atrophies a really important mindset and skill.
Atrophies? Using big words now, huh? Like what skill?
One of the most genuinely useful things a person can develop, I'd put it in the top 5 life lessons, actually, is the ability to delay gratification, to wait for something better rather than grab something lesser right now.
Like saving up instead of spending immediately.
Exactly like that. There's famous research on this. The Stanford marshmallow experiment from the 1970s. They sat young kids down with a marshmallow and said, eat it now or wait 15 minutes and get 2. The kids who could wait showed better outcomes years later across all kinds of areas: school, finances, relationships. The ability to sit with discomfort and hold out for the better thing, that's the real skill. And scratch offs are engineered to go in the opposite direction entirely. Every ticket is a little repetition of, don't wait, find out now.
So it's kind of practicing the wrong habit.
At a minimum, it reinforces the wrong impulse. Worth knowing as you get older and start making your own money decisions.
So draw games require delayed gratification.
Yeah, buy a ticket, wait until the numbers are drawn later that week. Hopefully your numbers are called.
You aren't selling it, Dad.
No, I guess I'm not.
So how long has the lottery been around? Is it something new or has it existed for a while?
Oh, it goes way back. The idea of drawing lots to distribute something, money, land, duty, is almost as old as recorded civilization. The oldest evidence we have comes from China around 200 BC. Keno slips, basically early lottery tickets, which still exist today, were used during the Han Dynasty, possibly to help fund construction of the Great Wall.
So the Great Wall was founded by a lottery?
Possibly, in part. The historical records suggest it, though we can't say it with certainty. The Romans did it too. Augustus Caesar held lotteries at his dinner parties, giving out prizes that range from, and I'm not making this up, slaves to ships. And the word lottery itself comes from the Dutch word lot, which means fate or destiny.
So you're not just buying a ticket, you're buying a piece of fate.
That's more than a marketing line. That's almost theology. And it explains why this practice has always had a complicated relationship with religion. We'll come back to that. But the American story is what I really want to get to.
When did it start here in the United States?
Almost from the very beginning, the Virginia Company ran a lottery in 1612 to help fund Jamestown, one of the first permanent English settlements. Colonial lotteries funded wharves, mills, fortifications, roads, and some of America's most famous universities. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and Dartmouth, Columbia, William and Mary, all had their early funding supplemented by lottery proceeds.
Harvard was partly built on lottery money?
Yep, all those Ivy League schools. If the lottery is a tax on hope, which is what critics call it, then some of America's great institutions of learning were built on hope. Kind of a strange thing to think about when you're filling out college applications someday.
Yeah, hoping for a better future, made possible with the lottery.
And the founders leaned on lotteries heavily. Washington ran a 1768 lottery to fund a road through Virginia mountains. The Continental Congress authorized one in 1776 to help finance the Revolution. Franklin organized one to buy cannon for the defense of Philadelphia.
Benjamin Franklin sold lottery tickets?
He did, and Thomas Jefferson, who died deeply in debt, tried to get Virginia's legislature to let him run a lottery to sell off his estate and settle his creditors. They said no, so he died in debt. So even the founders had a complicated relationship with it.
So it sounds like lotteries were just normal back then. Why did they go away?
Well, the Louisiana Lottery Company is why, chartered in 1869, and this is the part that gets dark.
Why is that, Dad?
Because unlike the colonial lotteries, which were public operations for specific purposes, the Louisiana lottery was a private company selling tickets by mail across the whole country, and it became wildly profitable and completely rotten. The operators bribed legislators, manipulated drawings, and enriched themselves while Louisiana got almost nothing. The scandal grew until Congress banned using the mail for lottery sales, which effectively killed them nationally. State after state followed. By 1895, lotteries were dead in America.
For how long?
Nearly 70 years, until 1964, when New Hampshire revived one, not for cultural reasons, but purely as a fiscal tool. You see, they had no income tax, no sales tax. Live free or die, right? The state needed money. Enter the lottery. The other states watched, saw the revenue, and started following suit. By the 1980s, most of the country had one. By the 90s, Powerball existed. Today, it's a $100 billion industry.
So the whole modern lottery basically exists because states wanted money without calling in tax?
That's exactly right. And that political logic hasn't changed, which raises the obvious next question. If the states are pulling in that kind of money, is the lottery actually a good deal for the people buying the tickets?
Based on your cynicism by the lottery, so far, I'd say it isn't.
Let's look at the math. A $2 Powerball ticket has an expected value of about $1.10, meaning for every $2 you put on, you can statistically expect to get it back around $1.10 on average.
So every time that man handed over $2, he was paying 90 cents just for the right to play.
A 45% entry fee every single time. Compare that to blackjack at a casino. The house edge there is typically 1 to 2%. Even slot machines, which people think of as a sucker's game, are usually 10 to 15%. The lottery is one of the worst odds forms of gambling available, and it's the one run by the government.
That seems like something they'd have to tell you.
They're not required to put expected value in the ticket, although they typically do. The advertising goes in the other direction. Now, the jackpot odds specifically are where it gets almost hard to comprehend. Powerball is 1 in 292 million. To put that in perspective, your odds of being struck by lightning at some point in your lifetime are roughly 1 in 15,000. You're about 19,000 times more likely to be struck by lightning than to win the Powerball jackpot.
Do you know anyone who's ever been struck by lightning?
I do not.
Wait, didn't you get struck by lightning one time?
No, I've been shocked by electricity, but it wasn't lightning.
Oh. And that's supposed to be the more likely thing.
That's the right way to think about that number. And look, people do win. 5 or 6 Powerball jackpots get claimed every year. 10 to 12 combined between Powerball and Mega Millions. It does happen. And even if you don't win the jackpot, that's not the only level where winning is meaningful.
What do you mean?
Powerball has a second prize tier. Match 5 numbers but miss the Powerball itself, that pays $1 million. Odds on that are roughly 1 in 11 million. Still very remote, but not in the same universe as the jackpot. Across both Powerball and Mega Millions, there are several $100 million winners nationally every year, and state scratch-off games regularly produce $500,000 and $1 million winners. Some states report hundreds of those annually. For most American families, $500,000 after taxes is genuinely life-changing. You don't need the jackpot for the outcome to matter.
So people do actually win things that are real?
Regularly, the honest picture isn't nobody ever wins anything meaningful. It's the odds of winning anything meaningful are very low, and the expected return on every dollar spent is still negative.
Then why do people keep playing if they lose overall?
Hope and prayers, and the gambler's fallacy.
What's that?
Well, it's a logical fallacy that many people believe. So, each drawing is completely independent from other drawings. The balls on Tuesday have no memory of Saturday. If nobody wins for 12 weeks straight, the odds on week 13 are still 1 in 292 million. The jackpot grew because more tickets were sold and nobody happened to hit.
Oh, and people will know that nobody's won it, so it seems like a win is building up somewhere waiting to happen.
Yeah, but it's a logical fallacy. The odds are the same.
But it really does feel like it should be due. Someone is bound to win.
It does, and that feeling has a name, which is basically the whole reason so many people keep playing despite what the math says. That feeling that a win is overdue is called the gambler's fallacy. The brain's mistaken belief that random events balance out over time. It's wrong, but it's incredibly persistent.
So our brains kind of trick us?
In this specific context, yeah, but that's not all. The lottery is designed knowing that, in other psychological tricks, when you buy any lottery ticket, your brain releases dopamine, which people call the pleasure chemical. But that's not quite right. It's more like the anticipation chemical. It fires when you expect a reward, not necessarily when you get one. So the moment you hand over the money, before you've scratched anything, your brain is already responding. You're excited. This could be it. You could quit your job and maybe be able to afford the American dream, a rarity in these economic times. And then you start dreaming about all those things you could do once you've won. Maseratis, a mansion, get a yacht.
Sounds like you already dreaming, Dad.
Sorry, getting carried away. But yes, dopamine gets you excited.
The feeling happens just from buying it.
The purchase is the trigger. You feel it before you know the outcome, which means the product delivers its main neurological payoff the second you spent the money.
That's a little unsettling, actually.
It is when you see it clearly, and it's understood very well by the people who design these products. There's also something called variable ratio reinforcement. It's a behavioral psychology concept, and it's the reason lottery is so sticky. A variable ratio reward means you get a payoff after an unpredictable number of tries. Not every time. Not on a schedule. Randomly. And that randomness turns out to be the most powerful behavioral motivator known. You keep going because you never know when the next one hits.
Oh, that's like loot boxes in video games and social media notifications, kind of?
What's a loot box?
You're so old, Dad. It's a virtual item in a video game that can be opened or redeemed to receive a randomized selection of digital rewards such as outfits, weapons, or other perks. The key begins it's random.
Yeah, then, good point. Exactly like both. Same mechanism. Pull the lever, sometimes something, sometimes nothing. The lottery, slot machines, loot boxes, all running the same architecture. The behavioral engineers know exactly what they're doing.
It's probably why loot boxes are controversial, specifically in games targeted at kids. And then there's the scratch-offs. It's something different happening there.
Yes, near misses. Get 2 of 3 matching symbols on a scratch-off. Say 2 cherries in a row, but you need one more. And something interesting happens. That near miss actually increases your motivation to play again, more than a flat-out loss would. Your brain reads almost as evidence of proximity. Like you're close. Like one more ticket might do it. You're not. The outcome is random. But the near miss fires a response similar to an actual reward.
And that's on purpose.
Within the statistical payout structures, they're required to hit. Near misses are a known feature. And then there's a small win trap. When a scratch off gives you back exactly what you paid, $2 on a $2 ticket, your brain registers that as a win. You've netted nothing, but it feels like a win. They give you your own money back and call it a win. And you're likely to play again.
So between the dopamine and the near misses of the fake wins, it's all just engineered to keep you coming back.
That's the design. Whether that's a sinister or just honest commerce, I'll let you decide. But about 1 to 3% of regular lottery players develop a clinically classified gambling disorder tied specifically to lottery play. Not a majority, but not nothing either. And the people most likely to end up there are also the people least able to afford it, unless they know the math.
Then you'd stay away?
No, exploit some loopholes.
Wait, loopholes? Has anyone actually beaten the lottery? Like figured out a way to win mathematically?
2 people come to mind, and they went about it in completely opposite directions. Stefan Mandel, Romanian-Australian mathematician. In 1992, he won the Virginia lottery by pure math. That's right. Know your math, and you can win big, Ani. The Virginia lottery at the time had a jackpot of 27 million in exactly 7.1 million possible number combinations. Mandel figured out that if he could buy every single combination at $1 each, he'd be guaranteed to hold the winning ticket, and the jackpot would exceed his total cost.
So he just bought all the tickets?
He put together a syndicate of around 2,500 investors, printed all 7.1 million combinations using 30 computers and 12 laser printers in Australia, about 30 tons of paper, and coordinated submitting them to lottery retailers across Virginia. They covered roughly 5.6 million of the 7.1 million combinations before the logistics fell apart. They still won the jackpot, plus 6 second-tier prizes, 132 third-tier prizes, and 135,000 minor prizes.
How much did he actually make?
Between taxes, legal fees, and paying out his thousands of investors, the cash got split up fast. But Mando had structured it so he took a massive consulting fee off the top before the dust settled, before anyone else saw a dime, netting $1.7 million. It was enough to get him to retire on a Pacific island. Virginia and other states immediately closed the loopholes he'd used: bulk purchases, home printed tickets, that kind of thing. The concept worked.
A Pacific Island? Cool.
Yep, Vanuatu in the South Pacific. I'd say his plan really held water, but I guess he preferred the beach. That was actually his last time out of 14 times he was able to get a mathematical edge. Now, that was someone who beat the lottery legally. The second story is someone who beat it from the inside, illegally.
What happened?
Eddie Tipton, Director of Information Security for the Multi-State Lottery Association, the organization that runs Hot Lotto and oversees drawing across nearly 3 dozen states. His literal job was to protect the integrity of the random number generator. He was the person responsible for making sure what he was doing couldn't happen.
He was in charge of making it fair, and he was cheating?
Starting around 2005, he used his access to install code in the lottery software that let him predict the winning numbers on 3 specific dates each year. Self-deleting code. It erased itself after running. On those 3 dates, instead of generating truly random numbers, the system produced results he already knew. He passed them to associates who bought tickets and claimed the prizes.
How did they catch him?
A 16.5 million Hot Lotto jackpot from December 2010 went unclaimed for almost a year. When someone finally tried to claim it through an anonymous offshore trust company in Belize, lottery officials rejected it and started investigating. They eventually released the convenience store security footage where the ticket was bought to the public, and a couple of Tipton's own coworkers at lottery headquarters watched the tape and recognized him immediately. Not by his face, he had a hood pulled low, but by his voice. He had a distinct way of talking, and his own team turned him in.
His voice gave him away from a gas station camera?
Yep, and his manner of talking, unique. He was arrested in 2015, confessed, sentenced to up to 25 years, paroled after only about 5. Investigators connected him and his associates to fraudulent winnings in Iowa, Kansas, Colorado, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma. The man responsible for the system's integrity had been quietly corrupting it for nearly a decade.
Is he still alive? And could that still be happening somewhere and nobody knows?
I don't know if he's still alive. I think he is. The Tipton case drove major security overhauls across the industry. But honestly, any system run by humans can be compromised by humans with enough access and motivation. Whether the current safeguards are sufficient, that's a question the lottery industry isn't eager to have asked too loudly. Which actually brings us to the question under all of it. Who is this system really built to serve?
Okay, so who's actually playing the lottery? Is it people who can afford it, or...
The data points pretty consistently in one direction. Lower income households spend a significantly higher share of their income on lottery tickets than higher income households. And the density of lottery retailers, how many places per square mile sell tickets, is measurably higher in lower income zip codes.
So the people with the least money are spending the most on it?
As a percentage of income, yes. A $2 ticket costs the same whether you make $30,000 or $300,000 a year, but it represents a much bigger slice of one person's daily budget than the others. Economists call that a regressive structure. Critics call it something sharper, a tax on hope.
That's kind of a harsh way to put it.
It is, and I want to be careful with it because it can tip into condescension pretty fast. It's tempting to look at someone spending limited income on tickets and say, that's irrational. And mathematically, yes, but the people playing in the highest concentrations are often people for whom the conventional paths to get ahead, education, career advancement, building a savings, feel genuinely blocked. Not because they're foolish, because in a lot of cases, those doors are actually harder to open from where they're standing. The lottery might be the only door that looks like it could actually open. That's a rational response to a constrained set of options.
That's kind of sad to think about.
It is, and it makes the simple just don't buy tickets answer a lot more complicated. Now, the state's ready response to all this criticism is the lottery funds education. That's the deal we're offering.
Does it actually fund education?
Technically, lottery money flows into education budgets, but researchers in North Carolina and Michigan and several other states found that when lottery revenue was directed to education, legislators often reduced other education funding by a similar amount. Total education spending didn't grow. The lottery just replaced general fund dollars. Schools didn't get more. The state got a different source for the same bucket.
So it's a shell game.
Economists call it the fungibility problem. Money is money once it's in the bucket, regardless of which pipe it came from. Earmarked for education is a political message more than a financial commitment. Now, to be fair, there are lotteries that work differently. Church raffles, school fundraisers, those put the beneficiary front and center. You know exactly what you're supporting. That's a genuinely different moral structure.
If it's a question of morality, what does the church actually say about gambling? Like, is the lottery a sin?
The Catechism is pretty direct about it. Section 2413, gambling isn't inherently immoral. It becomes problematic when it deprives a person or their family of what they need to live, when it creates dependency, or when institutions exploit human weakness or the poverty of others. That last part does a lot of moral work when you're looking at state lotteries specifically.
So it's not never play, it's more like watch what it costs you and who's profiting.
That's a precise reading of it. The church isn't naive about human nature or the appeal of chance. The question it's really asking is, at what cost? To whom and who designed the system you're participating in? It's kind of like AI, actually. And look, there are people who defend lotteries and their arguments aren't nothing. They say it's voluntary entertainment for adults who understand the odds. It generates state revenue without forcing anyone. Restricting what adults do with their own money is paternalistic. Those aren't dishonest arguments. The counter-arguments about behavioral engineering, regressive impact, and the education funding gap between advertising and reality are also serious. I'm not handing you a verdict. Both sides have real points. What I want for you is a habit of actually examining both before you land somewhere.
Nuance. I like it. Okay, let's go back to the lottery players. What actually happens when someone wins? Does it fix everything?
For most winners, honestly, it's fine. The research shows the majority of significant lottery winners manage their money reasonably well over time. People adapt, resources help, life goes on. That's the fair starting point. And it matters to say it first because the cautionary stories get way more attention than the ordinary ones.
But there are cautionary stories.
There are, and they tend to be extreme. Jack Whitaker won a $314 million Powerball jackpot in 2002, at the time the largest single ticket win in American history. Within a few years, he'd been robbed twice at casinos, his granddaughter died of drug overdose, connected to people who entered their lives after the win, and he told reporters he wished he'd torn the ticket up.
He said that? He actually wished he hadn't won?
I wished I'd torn that ticket up, his exact words. Now, he made some specific decisions that made things worse, but there's a structural problem underneath it. You spend 30 or 40 years building habits and judgment for a specific kind of financial life. The skills you develop managing $50,000 a year don't automatically transfer to managing $50 million. It's not about intelligence. It's 30 years of practice versus getting it all on a Thursday.
The money arrives, but the wisdom doesn't?
Financial advisors and psychologists who work with lottery winners actually have a name for it: sudden wealth syndrome. The money is real. The preparation for it almost never is. It's a bit like, how in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will shows up from Philly with nothing and suddenly he's in a mansion. The culture shock is real, even when the resources are good.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Is that some pop culture reference from when you were a kid?
Yeah, some listener will appreciate it. Anyways, the zip code changes. The instincts don't. Not overnight, anyway.
So we didn't buy any tickets today.
We did not.
We saved $2.
A dollar saved is a dollar earned, minus inflation.
You know what a guaranteed return on our investment is?
What?
Ice cream! It is guaranteed to make us happy, if but for a little while.
Statistically proven. All right, before we close out, Annalise has 3 trivia questions for you. If you're listening with your kids, pause it and see who gets them first.
Question 1. The word lottery comes from Dutch word meaning fate, but what ancient civilization uses lottery-style slips around 200 BC, possibly to fund one of the most famous construction projects in history? Ancient China. The products was the Great Wall. Question 2. A $2 Powerball ticket has an expected value of about $1.10. What percentage of your money do you lose on average every time you buy one? About 45%, 90 cents out of every $2 on average every time. Question 3. Stephen Mandel legally won the Virginia lottery in 1992 by buying nearly every possible number combination. After paying investors' taxes and cost, what did he do? He retired to a Pacific island.
If you got all 3, you've been paying attention, and that's worth more than a lottery ticket, considerably more. If this episode gave you something to think about, especially if it gave you something to bring up with your own kids at dinner, we'd really appreciate it if you left us a 5-star review, whether you're listening or wherever you're listening. It takes about 30 seconds, and it genuinely helps other families find the show.
And if you want to watch videos, you can find us on YouTube at the Contemplative Chaos channel. Although Dad hasn't made a video in a while. But we're working on one.
Yeah, we are working on actually 3 right now.
3?
I've been working on the house. Anyways, thanks for listening to Why Is That, Dad? Think carefully about what you spend. Think carefully about who profits from it. And keep asking the questions that don't have easy answers. We'll see you next time. God bless.